Okay. Good evening, y'all. Welcome you guys for another free session of Gynae examination discussions. How are you? You all are doing well. I hope so. So you all had your vaccination and everything, and you all are now ready for your exam. Am I correct? Okay. So first of all, I would say sorry because I couldn't conduct the free sessions as I planned before because I got a transfer to another hospital. Now I'm working in Wallace Muller based hospital. So little busy these days. So that's why I couldn't conduct those free sessions. But as I promised you guys, I'm going to do all these the free sessions in coming future, near future. Okay. So today I thought of discussing some important questions and 5 questions actually. These 5 SPAs will target mainly the labor. You know, the labor is one of the main topic in your exam, you all know. And however much questions we have discussed, some of the students find it difficult with this topic. So that's why I thought of doing some questions related to this topic. Okay, some of the questions are, little towards the higher side in the sense that little bit advanced, but it might come. We never know. So we have discussed, the people who have joined from the beginning, you all know that we have discussed enough questions related to the labor and obstetrics. And so with the questions that I'm going to discuss today, I think the whole labor will be refreshed again with these 5 questions. Okay. So have you all got the answers for those 5 questions, Karune? Have you? Okay. Yes. Good. Right. So idea of giving these questions in advance for you all to go through it before you come to the class, then it will be more beneficial for you all. And there's a kind request, Darwani. Can you all please switch on your cameras and focus on your faces? Please do that, right? So I'm not going to ask any questions, but the class should be live, I have to, not to see a screen, but I have to see your faces. Okay, that's why. Anyway, okay, shall we start, Darwani? Good. So first question. 26-year-old Primey went into spontaneous onset of labor. Okay. So she's a Primey. Primey means the first pregnancy. She has gone into spontaneous onset of labor. It was not the induction of labor. It's a natural process. She has gone into labor by herself. Okay. At 38 weeks. So primary mother, first pregnancy, has gone into spontaneous labor at 38 weeks. In that sentence, Darwani, have you all found anything abnormal? Anything not normal? So primary, there's nothing wrong with the primary, right? And she has gone into spontaneous onset of labor. Is it better than induction or it is not better? Always the spontaneous labor is much better than induction of labor. Complications are less, so that's a normal thing. And at 38 weeks, is that normal? Patient going into a labor at 38 weeks, is that normal? Yes. From 37 to 42 weeks, we call it as a term pregnancy. 37 to 42. What do you all mean by the term pregnancy? What do you all mean by what's the meaning of a term pregnancy? Term pregnancy means babies are now mature. Baby is mature enough to come out. So 38 weeks is a good maturity for the baby's point of view. So it's a normal thing, still normal thing. So this mother has gone into spontaneous onset of labor when the baby is mature. That is quite normal. She's contracting 2 in 10 minutes. What is the amount of contractions that you expect when a mother is in labor? How many contractions do you expect, Dairon? How many contractions do you all expect? 2 to 5 contractions in 10 minutes. Is the desirable amount of contractions? 2 to 5. 1 second. Okay. Can you all see this? Can you all see this already? Yes. So if you take a 10 minutes interval within these 10 minutes, there should be at least 2 contractions, or should not be more than 5 contractions. Why do you need 2 contractions at least? Because obviously for the labor to progress, there should be adequate amount of contractions. So there should be at least 2 contractions per 10 minutes. Why not more than 5 contractions? Like this. More contractions like this. Why that is not good? This is called hyperstimulation. This is because that when the uterus contracts, there is no blood supply to the baby. Baby is basically hypoxia. Only during the relaxation period, baby get the oxygen. So if you get too much of contractions without relaxation, hardly the oxygen supply to the baby. So they will tolerate and tolerate and tolerate, and ultimately they will be decompensated. They can even die. This is called hyperstimulation. So that's why we don't need contractions more than 5. So this mother is having 2 contractions per 10 minutes. So that is the minimum requirement. That is also normal. Get engaged. What do you mean by the engagement? Not the wedding engagement. What do you mean by the engagement? Get engaged. Get engaged means something like this. This is the pelvis. Okay. This is the baby's head. All right. So head you can divide into 5 fingerprints. 5 fingerprints like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. If 3 fingerprints have gone into the pelvis, and if you can feel only 2 fingerprints abdominally, that means this head has gone into the pelvis. That is called engagement. Engagement means that this is the pelvis, this is the head. Pelvis also a bone, head also a bone. So when the labor progress, and even before the onset of labor, it starts going into the pelvis. When the largest part of the head or the largest diameter of the head, when it has gone through the pelvic inlet, you call it engagement. So if you divide the head into 5 fingerprints, if 3 has gone in, then you can say it's an engagement. If 4 has gone in, engage. If 5 has gone in, engage. If 2 has gone in, then it is not engaged. If 1 has gone in, it's not engaged. Something like that. Okay? Engagement means kind of a descent. So engagement is what? It's a good thing to have. Because for the labor to progress, for the babies to come out, the head should gradually come down to the pelvic cavity. So that is also normal. So engagement, timely mother, gone into spontaneous onset of labor, having 2 contractions in 10 minutes, everything so far normal. Okay, nothing abnormal so far. We will see. Membranes are present. Okay, membrane can be present, membrane can be absent depending on the stage of the labor. Posterior fontanelle was palpable. What is posterior fontanelle done? You know the fontanelles, right? This is called anterior fontanelle. It is diamond shape. This is called the posterior fontanelle. It is triangular shape. Okay? So posterior fontanelle means this one, back side here. Don't look at my gray hair. This one. Okay, posterior fontanelle. So during the labor now, it has to be fully flexed. Like this. Baby's head should be fully flexed. When the head is fully flexed, you will be able to feel the fontanelle, posterior fontanelle. That is completely normal. If you can't feel the posterior fontanelle, then you have to be doubtful. You are doubtful whether this is an abnormal presentation. Like brow presentation, face presentation, something like that. So in a normal position, in the vertex, in the head, you should be able to palpate the posterior fontanelle also. Like this. They should be fully flexed, so you should be able to feel the posterior fontanelle. So what is abnormal? So far, nothing abnormal. See. And the vertex found 1 centimeter above the skull spines. Now, that is something like this. This is the pelvis inside. These are the skull spines. Okay. This is the level of the scale spines. This baby's head was found to be 1 centimeter above the scale spine. Can you all give me another name for this? The relationship of the fetal head compared to the scale spine is called the station. In labor, it is called the station. Like station, something like that. Station. Station means compared to the scale spine, where's the head? If it is 1 centimeter above, that is called -1. If it is 2 centimeters above, it's called -2, -3, something like that. On the other hand, if it is 1 centimeter below, what is that called? +4. 2 centimeters below, +2. 3 centimeters below, +3, something like that. So it's good to have a lower head, like +1, +2, +3. That is very good. So initially, it is about the scale spine, that is normal. Then gradually it should come down, -3, -2, -1, 0. At the level of scale spine, 0. Then +1, +2, +3. That's how the head is sent. So still, it is a little bit towards the higher side, but not a big problem. You will see. Mild caput. What is caput? You know the scalp? There's a scalp edema. The scalp is edematous. Is that normal or abnormal? That is normal in pregnancy, delivery, right? When the head is squeezing in between the vaginal tissues and when it is trying to come down, definitely there will be some amount of edematous scalp. That is called caput. So mild caput in labor is absolutely fine. But if you get a baby's head like this, like a fawn, like this, like a Parakamava, going like this, right? If you have that kind of a large caput, that is not normal. That may indicate an obstruction. But mild caput in each and every mother when she is in labor, you will expect that. So still not abnormal. Where's the abnormality? Have you found any abnormality in this patient? You see, no molding. What is molding, Darwani? What is molding? Yes. Now, molding is something like this. If you take the baby's head like this, this is anterior, this is posterior. You know that fetal skull, when it comes to skull anatomy, these bones are not meeting each other. They are not touching each other. Always there's a gap between two bones. Here, there, everywhere there is a gap. Okay, so this gap is covered by a membrane. What is the importance of that? When the head is trying to come out through the pelvis or through the vaginal canal, since these are not touching each other, they can go and meet each other. So that initially baby's head was like this. Now the head can be shrink. So the fetal skull size can be reduced because of the mold. This is called mold. Okay, so this is also normal thing. However, molding you can categorize as grade 1 molding, grade 2 molding, grade 3 molding. What is grade 1 molding? Everyone have a look. Grade 1 means these bones come and touch each other. Grade 1 molding, completely normal in labor. What is grade 2 molding? The bones are overlapping like this, but with your finger, you can put them back into the original position. Grade 2. What is grade 3 molding? Bones are overlapping, however, you can't put them back into the original position. So that is definitely abnormal. If you see grade 3 molding, that indicates obstruction. Okay, for the pelvic disproportion. Grade 2 molding, you have to correlate with other features, like if the labor progression is delayed, if there's a large caput and grade 2 molding, then that indicates obstruction. But grade 2 molding itself is very difficult to say whether it's obstruction or not. But grade 1 is normal, grade 3 is abnormal, grade 2 varying. Normally, usually considered to be a feature of obstruction. So this one is having, this one doesn't have any bonding. So that is also normal. Mild capute is there, but there is no bonding. So do you have any evidence to say this vein is obstructed? No. At 7 a.m. in the morning, 7 a.m., us was 4 centimeters. Us was 4 centimeters. After 4 hours, 11 a.m., us was 6 centimeters. How many centimeters are dilated for 4 hours? Right? How many centimeters for 4 hours, Taro? Just 2 centimeters. Is that enough? Is that enough? That means for 4 hours, just 2 centimeters dilatation. Is that enough? Or not enough? What's your answer? Is that enough? Yes. Normally, we would expect 1 centimeter per hour dilatation. That means for 4 hours, you expect 4 centimeters dilatation. That is normal. However, minimum requirement is 0.5 centimeters dilatation per hour. So 4 hours, 2 centimeters means 1 hour is 0.5 centimeters. So still, this is not a lack of progression. This is a normal progression. Is that clear? Is that clear? Right? So over 4 hours, there is 2 centimeters dilatation. That is enough. She's contracting to maintain. Labor is progressing, so no problem. And the fetal heart rate is 130. Is that normal? Yes. 110 to 160 is normal. So baby also absolutely fine. Labor is progressing well. There is no evidence of obstruction. Baby looks fine. So what is this? What is this? This is called normal labor. So when we were discussing the labor, the theory part, I have given you the definition of normal labor. Single fetus, definitely presentation, something like that, blah, blah, blah. This is how it is practically applied to your questions. So all these features indicate this is a normal progression of labor so far. So this is normal. If this is a normal labor, what would you do? Nothing. Go home and sleep. Okay, don't do anything. Because the moment you intervene, if you have more interventions, you will come across more complications. Okay, so we will see. Do ARA, you rupture the membrane. Why? Why the HE-double-L you want to rupture the membranes? No need. The labor is progressing well. So if you rupture the membrane, it might increase the labor progression, but not necessary. It's unnecessary thing. Why? Because the mother is showing adequate progression. So when cytosinon, you don't need cytosinon because cytosinon can be a very dangerous drug. It can cause hyperstimulation, uterine rupture, baby can die even, right? So not necessary. Cesarean section, not at all. Perform epidural analgesia. Review in 4 hours. Have they mentioned anything about the pain threshold of the patient or anything? No. They haven't mentioned anything about the pain. So if they say that the patient is in severe pain, unbearable kind of pain, patient is uncooperative or something like that, then of course you have to go for a good pain relief, like a fever. But this case, they haven't mentioned anything about the pain. So you can assume that the patient is okay with the pain. So what is you are normally doing if the labor progression is normal and otherwise uncomplicated pregnancy? You review usually after 4 hours. In 4 hours time, you do a vaginal examination and see how many centimeters dilated. So this patient at 7 a.m. was 4 centimeters. Now 11 a.m. was 6 centimeters. Okay, at 3 p.m. how much should be the os? At least should be 8 centimeters. Okay. So like that, you allow the labor to progress. So what is the answer here? Answer is, this is a normal labor, so you allow the progress and review after 2 hours. Genuinely tell me how many of you all got the answer? because of the words like, the mild capute or something like that, you would have thought that this is an abnormal labor, but this is completely a normal scenario. No, we don't do ARM, Garu. Why you want to do ARM? Because the labor is progressing well, mother is contracting, baby is absolutely fine. So why you want to do the ARM? In routinely, we don't do ARM, especially in other countries. Garu, if you go to other countries, other countries, like, the standard management is you should not touch the labor. You should allow the mother to progress. If there's a problem, only you intervene. Why don't you want to do a vehicle? Something like that, right? So that way we don't intervene unnecessarily. Labor is a complete then will you all go and do ARMs and they said no, these will go in spontaneous labor, they will deliver babies without any problems. Right? So ARM is not a normal thing. Now suppose that way. Now you are the honorable house officer after completing your ERPM exams and all in 2040, you will be the house officers, right? Now suppose this patient is in the labor room, right? 7 name was 4 centimeters, 11 name was 6 centimeters. You review the patient at 3 p.m. Suppose still 6 centimeters. What will you do? 11 name 6 centimeters. After 2 hours also 6 centimeters. What will you do? What will you do? Anyone? What will you do? Because I would just put these patients not to discuss only the answer. I want to discuss in and around about the labor. Okay, that's fine. So just tell me that one is someone will be the answer, right? Now the question is, now after 4 hours at 3 p.m. still us is 6 centimeters. No dilatation from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nadishan, what will you do that? Madhusha, what will you do? Lokaraja, what will you do? What will you do? Yes, if the labor progression is delayed, your first thing is to do a proper vaginal examination. What do I mean by a proper vaginal examination? Proper vaginal examination, Dargo, you have to do the vaginal examination to exclude the possibility of cephalopelvic disproportion. What is cephalopelvic disproportion, Dargo? This is the head, this is the pelvis. Head is relatively larger than the pelvis, so that it won't come out. It's like obstruction. So what are the features of CPD? Large capillary, like in Parakrababa, not in Bra. Is also in Paranaba, right? Right? Large the capillary. And grade 2 or 3 molding. Cervical edema. Those are the features of CPD. If you found that there are features of CPD, what will you do? Sala. What will you do? Pamudika. Ayodhya. Sumudhu. What will you do there? Now you found there are features of obstruction, OCP. Chaudi, what will you do? If there is evidence of CPD, that don't do anything, straight away go for a cesarean. Yes. Go for an emergency cesarean section. Because if there is obstruction, you should not augment the labor. So you have to go for a cesarean section. Right. Now, on the other hand,
Can I?
Yes, sure.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Sir, so this lady is already presented with 4 cm dilatation, right?
Yeah.
So it means that it has passed like 8 hours already, right? 4 centimeter dilatation.
You start the monitoring, you start the partogram and all when the patient admitted to your unit. We don't know how many hours she was in labor already, but she came to your ward. When you examine, at the time of examination, it was 4 centimeters. So you start the counting from there onwards. Okay, because we were not at home, no. So husband also doesn't know how to do a vaginal examination. So we don't have any clue, right? So you start your monitoring from the time the patient admitted to your unit. Is that clear,
Okay,
Daru?
thank you, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
All right. So my question.
Sir, I have another question, sir. Sorry. Sir, I have another question. Sir, it says that the patient, the baby's head is engaged, right? Already engaged.
Yeah.
And the vertex found 1 cm above the ischial spines. So
Good
how does
question.
it happen,
Yeah,
sir?
yeah, good question. Now, engagement and the station are two different things, Taru. Engagement is the thing that you will assess abdominally with abdominal palpation. Station, you assess with the vaginal examination. Those are two different things. Even the head is engaged, station can be -1, -2. Okay, right? So those are two different. Still, the patient has an engaged head, baby has engaged, but still, when you do the vaginal examination, it can be above sciar spines. That is possible. Any other questions?
Yeah. So, when if the patient present, like when her os dilatation has like 8 or 9 centimeters, still we start to calculate the time from that moment.
Yes, if it is 9 centimeters dilated, you expect the normal dilatation about minimal dilatation 0.5 centimeters per hour, isn't it? So if it is 9 centimeters dilated, you don't wait for 4 hours. You wait for 2 hours because you expect in 2 hours time it should be 10 centimeters dilated. So you don't wait for 4 hours, you wait for 2 hours and examine. Got it? Is that clear?
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Right. Yes. So my question was, Darwani, now think about another scenario, same question, another scenario. 7 AM os was 4 centimeters, 11 AM os was 6 centimeters. After 4 hours, os was still 6 centimeters. What will you do? You do a vaginal examination to exclude Naduni, what? CPD, cephalopelvic disproportion. Those are the features of CPD. If those features are there, what will you do, Sachini? You go for emergency cesarean section. If those features are not there, that means there is no obstruction. However, the labor is slowed down. What can you do? Then you can accelerate the labor process. That is called what? Tivanka. That is called what? That is called the augmentation of labor. So you can augment the labor. What are the ways you can augment the labor? What are the ways that you can augment the labor? Yes. If the membrane is there, first thing is you rupture the membranes, ARM. What is the purpose of rupturing the membrane? Once you rupture the membranes, membrane edges release prostaglandins that augment the labor. So after rupturing the membrane, how long you usually wait? You wait for 2 hours and reassess. You wait for 2 hours and reassess. If there is a progression, you just allow to progress. Suppose after 2 hours also that os is still 6 centimeters, no obstruction. What will you do? Now you have a place to start syntocinon. You start syntocinon now. After starting syntocinon, you can wait for 4 hours and relieve again. It goes like that, right? So if the labor progression is delayed, first thing is exclude CPD Logaraj. Okay? Exclude CPD. If there is CPD, let him to go for an emergency cesarean section. If there is no CPD, then you can rupture the membrane or augment the labor. Either rupture the membrane, if the membrane is already absent, you can start syntocinon. Suppose if the membrane is there, you rupture it, normally you wait for 2 hours and reassess. If there is progression, you just allow. If there is no progression, you start syntocinon. So that is the take-home message of this question. Now the question, in the exam, if you get a big question, like kind of a big question, If the question is bigger, you become, oh my God, this is going to be a bad question. This is going to be a difficult question. But if you see methodically, if you go through the question, usually there is the stem is big. Usually that question is easy. So this question, everything say this is a normal labor, normal labor. Don't do anything. Don't do it. If you do anything, then you have to come back for the ERPM exam next time. Don't do it. Right. So identification of the normality also Daru, very important. Okay, what is normal? What is abnormal? Any questions regarding that question? I took almost half an hour to discuss that question. Any questions related to that? Anyone? Good that Daru. If you all have any questions, please discuss. Okay, don't hesitate to discuss because we all are learning. Okay. So don't think that me something like that. Something like that. There in a question, right? All right. Okay. Come to the question, second question, Daru. A 23-year-old uncomplicated primary admitted in early labor. Okay, she's 23 years old, right? Up still 27, 28 years old. But this one, 23 years old, uncomplicated primary, admitted in early labor. So she's in early labor, right? Us 5 centimeters at term. So uncomplicated antenatal history, that means that there is no IUGR, there is no diabetes, hypertension, nothing. She has gone into spontaneous labor, 5 centimeters at term, still normal. The head was 3/5 palpable abdominally. Is it engaged or non-engaged? 3/5 palpable abdominally. It is non-engaged. Non-engaged. That means that one. This is the baby's head. This is the pelvis. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 parts of the head can be palpable abdominal. That means head has not gone into the pelvis. Normally, the thigh means first pregnancy. After 36 weeks, head start going into the pelvis. That is called the engagement. Engagement usually start in thigh means after 36 weeks. So by the time they are coming in labor, usually their head is engaged. But on the other hand, mild days, it can be like somewhere like Kankasanture, but they are coming in labor. So when they have gone into labor with 1 or 2 contractions, they start going into the pelvis easily. Something like that. But primates, usually after 36 weeks, the head start going into the pelvis floor. Okay, so this one, she's a primate, uncomplicated. However, her head is not engaged. She has gone into labor. Membranes absent. Fetal heart rate is 140 beats per minute. Is that normal? Yes. Baby looks fine. Pelvis was adequate. So clinically, the pelvis, they have found that the pelvis is adequate for a delivery. Enough room there. Decision was taken to go for an emergency cesarean section. Which of the following is the likely reason for the cesarean section? So she is an antenatally uncomplicated primary mother, Priyanjana. Okay, uncomplicated primary. At baby is mature, gone into labor. However, head is not engaged. Okay, membrane is absent. Baby looks fine. Pelvis has enough room. However, the team has decided she needs an emergency cesarean section. What can be the reason? Let's see. Presence of meconium. Do you know meconium? What is meconium, Daru? Kaki. Baby's kaki, right? So normally, the baby pass urine, that is the light form, but baby doesn't pass kaki inside. Okay, meconium. Toilet baby won't pass meconium inside. This is the baby. Okay, this is the gut, right? So you have the meconium here, and there is a good muscle tone in the rectum. Good muscle tone. So this sphincter, inner sphincter is always closed in the baby fetus. Okay, so that this meconium will not be coming out, it will not be contaminated with the amniotic fluid. However, if the baby is exposed to hypoxia, what will happen to the tone of the anus? Anal tone will go away, will relax. As a result, this meconium can come out. It's a greenish color thing, so that is called meconium stain lipo. So what happens when meconium come out? Baby can aspirate meconium into their lungs. Meconium is a chemical substance. When it is born into the lungs, it can cause chemical pneumonitis. Baby can even die. It's a dangerous condition. Meconium aspiration syndrome. Okay. So we don't want the baby to pass meconium. However, if the baby gets exposed to hypoxia, baby can pass meconium. So on the other hand, if you see meconium in the amniotic fluid, you are worried whether this baby is hypoxic. But remember that most of the babies who have passed meconium are not hypoxic. What does that mean? Meconium per se does not indicate fetal hypoxia. That means if you just see meconium, you don't think that baby is hypoxia. Oh my God, we have to rush and deliver the baby by cesarean. No. That was the teaching, that was the learning, that was the practice few years ago. Now it is changed. People don't worry too much, even though you see meconium. Okay, so what I want to tell you all is meconium per se not an indication for a cesarean section. It doesn't indicate 100% baby is hypoxic. On the other hand, the question says uncomplicated antenatal history. That means this is not IUGR. On the other hand, suppose there's a severe IUGR baby. When you rupture the membrane, there is meconium coming. Then you know most likely this baby is hypoxic. It was already compromised baby. But this baby is already a normal baby. So that is not an indication for a cesarean. CTG decelerations. You know the decelerations that one, right? CTG decelerations. Does it indicate cesarean section? Does it indicate cesarean section? Sasanka, does it indicate cesarean section? Ashari. No. Why not? Yes, I agree with you. Why not? Because when it comes to decelerations, there are various kinds of decelerations. All decelerations does not indicate hypoxia. Decelerations like deceleration like these, like these. Now these are the contractions. If there are decelerations like this, can you all see the board? Yes, I suppose. With the contraction, heart rate drops, and when the contraction disappears, heart rate recovers. These are called early decelerations. This classification is all people are not using nowadays in modern practice, but still you accept this is applicable. So this is called early deceleration. Early deceleration means with the contraction only, the heart rate drops. So this indicates head compression in labor, absolutely normal. Whereas if you see a deceleration coming after the contractions like this, they are coming always after the contractions. Those are called late decelerations. They can be highly suspicious or pathological. They indicate hypoxia. So, like meconium, if you see deceleration, blindly if you say deceleration, that is not an indication for cesarean. No. Okay, see the third one. Palpation of, we come to that one later. See the last one. Presence of molding. Presence of molding. Does it indicate a cesarean section? I told you that one. Grade 1 molding is normal. Grade 3 molding is abnormal. But if you say blindly molding, that doesn't warrant a cesarean section by itself. So that is wrong. So we are reviewing with classes C and D. Palpation of the frontal bones and supraorbital ridges. The fourth one is palpation of eyes, nose, and mouth. So for that thing, you have to have some understanding about the fetal skull anatomy and the dimensions. Okay? This is a fetal skull. They are this is a fetus. Okay? So you have the occiput here. This is called the brecma or the sinciput, anterior fontanelle. This is the posterior fontanelle. When the head is fully flexed, this is the normal thing. When the head is fully flexed, the presenting diameter is suboccipitobregmatic. This one, A. Suboccipitobregmatic, 9.5. So this is the normal thing. So when the baby is coming in a normal way, uncomplicated delivery, it should be fully flexed. So you will get suboccipitobregmatic diameter, this diameter, 9.5, smallest diameter. So you should be able to feel the posterior fontanelle. That is normal. So in normal labor, you should be able to feel the posterior fontanelle and the sagittal suture only there. You won't feel any supraorbital ridges, any eyes, nose, mouth, anything. No. Okay, that is normal. Right. When the head is halfway extended, you will get occipitofrontal diameter. This is about 10.5 centimeters. This is bigger than the normal diameter. This is what you will get in OP position. Occipitoposterior. When the neck is fully flexed, you will get suboccipitobregmatic. When the neck is halfway extended, you will get occipitofrontal diameter. When it is further extended, you will get what is called mento-vertical diameter. That is called what is that called? Brow presentation. In brow presentation, you will get this diameter. This is called mento-vertical. That is about 11.5 centimeters. The largest diameter, 11.13 centimeters. The largest diameter. Mento-vertical is the brow presentation. Not possible for a vagina. In brow presentations, you will feel these supraorbital ridges very prominently. Supraorbital ridges very prominently. You won't feel the mouth or a cavity, but you will feel these structures. Right? Supraorbital ridges and the nose and those things. When the neck is fully extended like this, then you will feel this part. This is called submentobregmatic. This is also called face presentation. It is also 9.5. Submentobregmatic is 9.5. This is called face presentation. In face presentation, you will see the supraorbital ridges, eyeballs, nose, mouth, and all the facial structures. Okay. So when the head is fully flexed, you will feel on the posterior fontanelle that is called suboccipitobregmatic diameter. So this question, they have gone for emergency cesarean section. So we got two answers like C and D. Palpation of the frontal bones, supraorbital ridges. Frontal bones and supraorbital ridges. What is that diameter? This is brow presentation, 13.5 centimeters. Largest diameter, vaginal delivery is not possible. Vaginal delivery is not possible. Brow, absolute indication for a cesarean section. True. Come to the next one. Palpation of eyes, nose, and mouth. What is that? Face. Does face presentation? When you have face presentation, is there a recommendation for a cesarean section? Yes, but not all. Faces, you can get two types of faces. This is anterior, this is posterior. Always come side is posterior. Mother in the literary question. Okay. Baby will be coming out like this. Like that. Okay. So faces, you can get two type of faces. This is called mento. Chin is called mento. Mento can be facing up. That is called mento anterior. Like this. Or else you can take the baby coming out like this. Mento posterior name. The baby, mother is in the literal question exactly. Baby is trying to come out like this. Mento posterior. Remember, mento posterior you can't deliver vagina. Whereas mento anterior you can deliver vagina. So face presentation per se by itself not an indication for a cesarean section. Why? Mento anterior faces, you can deliver vagina. So what would have been the reason for that cesarean section? Probably brow presentation. Hands up those who got the answer. Right. So Darwani, you all have the theory knowledge, right? You all have the theory knowledge. These questions can be asked in a straight away like this. Or you can get the question like that way. Same question. So if you know the theory part, just step by that thing. If you have severe cerebral edema by now, just lift up the back side. Then you will get some oxygen. Okay, right? Right. Is that clear? Okay. So those are two important things that you have to understand. You have to first of all understand what is a normal labor. Okay. Then you have to know if the labor progression is poor or delayed, what will happen? Explode CPD and then open labor. How you can open the labor, something like that. This question is regarding the various positions and the presentation of the fetal scarring. This is completely normal. Everything else is not normal. Okay? Clear? And remember about those parameters as well. Is everything clear so far, Darwani? Any problems you all have? Just clarify your problems. Don't leave your problems till the exam comes. Finish the exam, right? So start studying, start reading. And when you are studying, don't read your notes like parrots, right? Don't try to bypass things. Try to apply those things in a practical way. Okay. Right, question number 3. Do you all have any classes after this, Darwin, today? Okay. So I will try to finish as soon as possible, right? Question number 3. This is regarding something regarding VBAC. A 30-year-old mother in a second pregnancy. 30-year-old mother in a second pregnancy. Pregnancy coming at 38 weeks with labor pains. Second pregnancy. She is contracting 3 in 10, so that is normal. Or she is 7 centimeters dilated. So she has gone into kind of an advanced labor, right? It's not early labor. 7 centimeters means it's advanced labor. So she is in advanced labor, spontaneous labor, 3 in 10 minutes contractions. Her first baby, in her first delivery, she had a cesarean section due to transverse lie. What is transverse lie, Darwo? It was like this. This is cephalic, this is brake, this is oblique, this is transverse. Okay, so when there is a transverse line, so usually it indicates cesarean section. If you have a transverse line, can they undergo vaginal delivery? Is vaginal delivery possible? How? How?
Internal rotation.
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
So manual.
It's not the internal, I heard internal rotation, not the internal rotation. Now you do external rotation. Internal rotation you do only in twin deliveries to deliver the second one. Otherwise, always external cephalic version. You do the external cephalic version, and immediately you hold the baby's head in that position. You turn the baby into head down position and hold the baby's head with your two hands. And ask your colleague to rupture the membranes. And immediately you start syntocinon and get the contractions. With the contractions, this head will be stabilized in the cephalic position. This is called stabilizing induction. If you just transverse like Aries, if you just turn and leave your hands, if you just relax, then the baby will go back to transverse. Okay? So that's why you rotate the baby externally, hold the baby's head, turn like that, you hold the baby's head and ask the colleague to rupture the membranes and start syntocinon. With the contraction, when the contractions are coming, baby can't rotate, baby will be in the same position. That is called stabilizing induction. Stabilizing induction. Or else the other option is cesarean section. Okay, Darwani? Right? So those are the two options. But this patient had a transverse line, so last time she had a cesarean section. This time she is coming with advanced labor. So this is vaginal birth after cesarean section. VBAC. Have you all heard this term VBAC? I hope yes. VBAC. Vaginal birth after cesarean. VBAC. So she is now in advanced labor, 7 centimeters. However, this first baby was delivered by cesarean section. Obstetrician decided to proceed with the emergency cesarean section. The most likely reason for that decision was Disala, can you deliver this baby vaginally this time, Daru? She had a cesarean section last time. Can you all go through a vaginal delivery pathway this time? Prabodhika, Amudika. Can you do that? Or do you necessarily need a cesarean section delivery? No. When a patient is having a previous one cesarean section, you can try for a normal delivery, vaginal delivery each time. That is called VBAC. What is the problem? About 0.5% of cases, there can be a uterine rupture when you go for a VBAC. 0.5%, small chance. But majority will not have uterine rupture. So you can try for a VBAC. Okay? You can try for a VBAC. But this patient came in advanced labor, but they have decided to go for the emergency cesarean section this time. What will be the reason? You will see the answers. Because of the past cesarean section. Just because you had a past cesarean section, if a patient coming in advanced labor, you don't consider cesarean. You can try for a VBAC. Because she has gone into 7 centimeters dilatation. So you can try. So that is not an indication. BMI is 31. The size BMI 31. Not very fat, too much fat, but she's a chubby girl. BMI 31. Is that an indication for a seizure this time? Or an unfavorable factor for a VBAC? Yes. When the mother's BMI is too high, the chance of successful VBAC is less. Shall we all take a deep breath? I know some of you guys are now, the time is 3 a.m., 2 a.m. in some other countries, right? Take a deep breath, Arun, think something interesting, like these days, fuel prices or gas prices or something interesting. Or Malupa, Galbani, something like that. Tupa. Take 30 seconds off. 30 seconds. You can send a message to a girlfriend, boyfriend, something like that, right? Take your time. Yes, somebody asked if mother had 2 previous cesarean sections, can you go for vaginal? No. It's an absolute indication for cesarean section. Past 2 sections, we don't try for a VBAC. Just past 1 section, you can try. But in other countries like Arabian countries, Some of the European countries also they try, but the general recommendation is to go for an elective cesarean section this time. You can have a snack, isn't it, Ivanka? Snack, drink, something like refresh yourself. So shall we go back again? Okay, good. Yes. So when the mother is having high BMI level, chance of VBAC is less. Complications are more. So that is the relative indication for another cesarean section. Relative, not absolute. Last baby is 11 months. Husband mother fit for her, right? So last pregnancy, last time she had delivered just 11 months ago. Again pregnant. Is that a contraindication for a VBAC? General recommendation are, if you are going for a VBAC, there should be at least 1 year gap. Because 11 months means less than 1 year. So the wound may not be well healed. So the VBAC is not usually recommended if the gap is less than 1. So that is true, but that is not an absolute indication for a cesarean section. Ayodhya. Okay. So the response B. Presence of scar tenderness. What is this scar tenderness? You would have sometimes heard of it. Scar tenderness. This is the abdomen. Okay. This is the uterus, umbilicus. This is the previous scar on the abdomen, abdominal wall. Okay. So when you press this area with your hand, when you press this area, if the patient gets pain, that is called scar tenderness. Not the scar on the skin, but the uterine scar you mean, right? When you press here, if the patient gets pain, that's called scar tenderness. That is, very non-specific signs of uterine rupture or uterine scar dehiscence. Scar dehiscence is a very non-specific. It's not a very significant thing. So that itself doesn't indicate a cesarean section. Previous J incision. What is J incision? This is the uterus, cervix, and all, maybe inside. Okay. What is LSCS? Lower segment transverse incision. This is the upper segment of the uterus. This is the lower segment of the uterus. If you make incision on the lower segment in a transverse way, this is the normal cesarean section. This is what is called lower segment transverse cesarean section, LSCS. It is not the scar that you will see on the skin, Darvo. No, this is inside on the uterus. Uterine incision should be like this. This is normal. In almost all the cases, we put the incision like this. But sometimes, Darvo, in difficult deliveries and fibroids and all, sometimes you have to put the incision like this. This is called a classical incision. Classical incision. This is an absolute indication for cesarean section next time because the chance of rupture is high. So last time, if the patient had a classical incision, Darwani, this time definitely you will go for another cesarean section. No VBAC, Nadishan. Okay, no VBAC. Okay, right? And not only that, Darwani, sometimes you do the transverse incision like this, but you can't deliver the baby. The space is not adequate. So you have to extend this incision like this. This is called J incision. If you put a J incision again, that is an absolute indication for a cesarean section. So other than lower segment transverse incision like this, any other incision to deliver the baby is an indication for another cesarean section. Should not go for a VBAC. Is that clear, Darwani? So high BMI also not a favorable factor for. So what are the unfavorable factors for a VBAC? Unfavorable factors. like this. Incision other than lower segment transverse incision. Other than transverse incision. Then gap between two pregnancies less than 1 year. High BMI. And factors like Darwin, last time cesarean was done because of the obstruction like CPD. So definitely this time also CPD problem is there. So those patients should not be offered VBAC this time. Last time was obstruction, it means there's a higher chance of obstruction. So better to go for the cesarean section. Any question regarding this question? Anything regarding this? Okay. Are you ready for the exam, Darwani? So this time would be the best time for you all to pass the exam. Why? You had enough time, lot of lockdowns, right? So everything, you had enough time gap with the knowledge and the exam. So make use of this time and get ready for your exam, and definitely you all can get it. So my advice is do more and more questions, and the people who have attended my classes before, you can go through the questions again and again, the things that we discussed, and always, Darwani, adhere to the underlying basic theory part. Don't try to by heart the questions, but try to understand the underlying theory part, because the theory will not change for sure. So what you all know by now will be questioned in the exam definitely, not new things, but you should be able to apply your knowledge into the questions. Okay, right. Shall we go to the next one, Darwani? Question number 4. Question number 4. A mother with a twin pregnancy without a proper antenatal follow-up. Okay? Twin pregnancy, but without defaulted follow-up, something like that. Follow-up admitted with spontaneous labor at 36 weeks and 4 days. She's closer to 37 weeks, right? 36 plus 4 days, she's coming with spontaneous labor. Twin pregnancy. This is not a singleton pregnancy. Twin pregnancy, however, defaulted follow-up. Ossie is 5 centimeters. She had underwent a scan at 11 weeks where the twin pregnancy was diagnosed. So she had a dating scan, right? Dating scan. At that time, they have detected this is a twin pregnancy. So what is the other importance of a dating scan? What is the best time to do a dating scan, Sasankar? 11 to 14 weeks. 11 to 14 weeks is the best time to do a dating scan. Then, Charita, when you do the dating scan, you have seen a twin pregnancy. What is the next thing that you will look into?
Chorionicity.
Huh?
Chorionicity, sir.
Chorionicity, exactly. Chorionicity. You can. That is the best time to detect chorionicity. Yes. Chorionicity, Darwani. What is chorionicity anyway? Whether these babies are sharing a single placenta, that is called monochorionic, or whether they have 2 different placentas. Okay, that is called dichorionic. So whether this is a monochorionic pregnancy or a dichorionic pregnancy, you can detect correctly at the time of dating scan, 11 to 14 weeks. So if you see a lambda sign, lambda, that is called dichorionic. If you see a T sign, that is called monochorionic. So see your theory notes. Okay. So probably they would have decided whether this is a dichorionic pregnancy or a monochorionic pregnancy that time. But the patient has defaulted afterwards. Which of the following would strongly recommend an emergency cesarean section for her? So this is a twin pregnancy, 36 weeks plus 4 days, preterm, coming in preterm labor. As is 5 centimeters dilated, we have decided to go for a cesarean section. Which of the following would strongly recommend an emergency cesarean section for her? Monochorionic twin pregnancy. What about the answer? True or false? Because of the monochorionic twin pregnancy, they have decided to go for a cesarean section. Is that true? Why not true? If that is not true, what is the answer? What is the explanation? Yes, Charita, go ahead.
So it should be monochorionic, monoamniotic.
Yes, that is the answer. In all monochorionics, we don't recommend cesarean section, Darvo. We recommend cesarean section for monochorionic, monoamniotic. That means only single placenta, single amniotic cell. These are the two babies. Single placenta, single amniotic cell. Monochorionic, monoamniotic. If it is this, then yes, that is a recommendation for cesarean section. But just because of monochorionic pregnancy, you don't recommend cesarean section. Like if it is monochorionic diamniotic like this, no need to go for the cesarean section 100%. If it is monochorionic, monoamniotic, yes. Yes. Is that clear? So the nodal marker figure, is that clear? Okay. Chutti molavata very well either. And this is basic. Okay. So that is wrong. Second baby is transverse line. Like, the second baby is transverse line. Okay. Second baby is transverse line. Do we consider the position of the second baby in twin deliveries? No, that we don't mind. The second baby may be cephalic, maybe breech, maybe transverse line, maybe oblique line, anything we don't mind. We don't care. What we consider is the first baby. First baby is the baby who is closer to the internal os, the first fellow. He or she must be cephalic if you are going for vaginal. If the first baby is not cephalic, like breech, transverse line, or anything, no place for vaginal. First fellow must be cephalic. First baby must be cephalic. Second baby, we don't mind. Why? If the first baby is cephalic, you can deliver the first baby in a normal way. And after that, if the second baby is not cephalic, like transverse, breech, or anything, what you can do? You have 3 or 4 options to do. If the second baby is not cephalic presentation, like transverse or breech, what you can do? First thing is, outside, externally, you can try to rotate the baby's head down. That is called ECV. External cephalic version, ECV. If that fails, what you can do that already? You can put your hand into the front cavity. In the front cavity. Yes. You can put your hand into the front cavity and catch the fellow. Carry and killer, you can turn the baby to head down posture while the baby is inside. Okay, that is called internal podalic version. Internal podalic version. External podalic version. Internal podalic version. Is there any source of it? Baba, not a heritage. Something like that. You can go and catch the baby's leg and pull the baby down. What is that called? Breech extraction. This is the only indication to do breech extraction. Delivery of the second baby in 20 days. Breech extraction. If everything fails, what is the last option? Cesarean section. So, in twin deliveries, we consider the position or the presentation of the first baby only. If it is cephalic, yes, you can try for vaginal. We don't care about the second bit because you have enough options. External Keppel version, internal Keppel version, breach extraction, or go for an emergency sterile section if everything fails. So that is also not an indication for a cesarean section. Presence of a fundal fibroid is a twin pregnancy. It's a fundal fibroid. Fundal fibroid. Okay. So does that mean this baby, this mother need a cesarean section delivery? Two reasons know that. One reason is this fibroid is away from the birth canal. It's not obstructing fundus. So there is no obstruction to the birth passage. So you should not go for a cesarean section. Other thing is when you have a fibroid, anyway, it causes more bleeding after the delivery. So if you're going for a cesarean section, that may further increase the amount of bleeding, that is PPH. So the chance of PPH is high if you're going for a cesarean section having fibroids. So best thing is try for a vaginal delivery if possible. So presence of a fundal fibroid does not mean she needs a cesarean. Suppose if this fibroid was on the lower segment and obstructing the birth canal, yes, then you have to go for a cesarean section and take the baby out. So that is also wrong. Presence of gestational diabetes. Either gestational diabetes or chronic diabetes, does it necessarily means mother has to undergo a cesarean section? Can't the gestational diabetic mothers go for a vaginal delivery? No. Diabetes per se, not an indication for cesarean section. False. Past cesarean section. Yes, Darbo. If the mother had a past cesarean section, having a twin pregnancy this time, we are not trying for a VTech because the chance of different rupture is high. And after delivery of the first baby, it's difficult to do the maneuvers and all if it is in a cesarean section. So that is an indication for a cesarean section. So not anything else, but presence of a previous cesarean section, now twin pregnancy, you don't consider it. The answer would be the past cesarean section. Is that clear, Darwani? Today I'm doing this class with my mobile, so very difficult to see your questions and all. I'm really sorry about that because there's poor signal in this area, so I have to use my mobile data. So Darwani, if you all have any question, any query, you can ask now in a live way, or else you can send me a text message or a Viber, WhatsApp, or whatever it is. I can answer your questions. Okay. Right. I'm really sorry I can't read the questions now because I'm using the mobile. Okay, to do this class. Really sorry about that. Shall we move on to the next question, the last question for the day? Are you all okay up to now? Right? Are you okay, girls and boys? Right? Take a deep breath and refresh your lungs. Right. Ready now? Yes? Good. Move to the last one. A primary mother in the second stage of labor. Second stage of labor. What is second stage, Darwani? Ossea is now fully dilated. Mother is now in the second stage of labor. What is first stage? From the onset of labor up to 10 centimeters dilatation. First stage. What is second stage? From 10 centimeters dilatation up to the delivery of the baby. The second stage. What is third stage, Darwani? After delivery of the baby, he will completely deliver the placenta and the membranes. That is the third stage. Okay, Montessori start. Right. So she is in the second stage of labor. CTG shows fetal bradycardia of 90 beats per minute for 3 minutes without recovery. So she is in the second stage of labor. Darwani, second stage of labor. And this is the baby CTG, initially was okay. And suddenly the FHS dropped. And it is lasting for now 3 minutes, but going back. Normally, when deceleration happens, it drops and comes back to the baseline. But in this case, it dropped up to 90 and it's not recovering. 3 minutes gone. If a deceleration lasting more than 2 minutes, lasting more than 2 minutes, it's called a prolonged deceleration. 2 minutes to 10 minutes. If there's a deceleration, that's called prolonged deceleration. Prolonged deceleration. That means there's acute hypoxia to the baby. Baby is acutely hypoxic. It was not a long-term thing. It happened suddenly. Now at this point, baby is hypoxic, need delivery. So this is called prolonged deceleration. Prolonged deceleration means deceleration lasting more than 2 minutes, up to 10 minutes, without recovery. So if you see this kind of a thing, immediately you have to consider delivery. Okay. Now, before considering the delivery, what will be the reason for this? Why the baby's heart rate suddenly dropped? Baby was initially very well. Last minute baby was absolutely well. Now the heart rate drops to 90 and not recover. Baby is struggling to recover but not recover. What may be the reason? Acute hypoxia. Something like cord accident, like cord around the neck. Most of the babies, they have the cord around the neck when they are inside. But that doesn't cause much problem. But if this cord is tight, put a knot, like committing suicide inside. So you can get this kind of picture. Okay? Cord problems. Or if placental abruption, suddenly placental abruption happens, no oxygen will be shown this kind of things. Or else Darwin. If you have hyperstimulation, like more contractions like this, too much of contractions within a short period, hyperstimulation, then also baby is hypoxic. Baby can show prolonged deceleration. Anything possible. So if you see this kind of a thing, or cord prolapse, cord came out, acute hypoxic condition. If you see this kind of a picture in the labor room, what you have to do? What you have to do that way? Anyone?
Stop syntocinon.
Yes. To stop, if the syntocinon is running, you stop it. Ask the nurses to stop syntocinon immediately. Then while doing that, what will you do next?
Do a vaginal examination.
Yes, very good, Charita. You have to go for a vaginal examination. Why? Why you want to do vaginal examination?
So to exclude cord prolapse and to see.
Yes, you can exclude cord prolapse. If you do a vaginal examination, if the cord is there, it's a cord prolapse. You have to do accordingly. What else you can do? By doing vaginal examination. You can see the stage of the labor. If this is in the second stage of the labor, how low the head is. If the head is low, a second stage, you can go for an instrument delivery and deliver the baby. If the OC is not dilated or if the head is high, then you consider a cesarean section. So you must do vaginal examination. Remember that when in obstetric, in labor, if it is a CTG abnormal, or if it is a prolonged or poor progression of labor, one of the most important initial thing that you have to do is the vaginal examination. So here also you will do. Suppose there is no cord prolapse and the os is fully dilated, station +1 or +2. What? If the head is low, you go for an emergency instrument delivery and take the baby, either forceps or a vacuum. If the head is high, go for a cesarean section. So we will see the question. So the fetal heart rate drops to 90 and is lasting now for 3 minutes, not recovering. Head was 1 feet palpable abdominal, that means engaged or not engaged? Engaged. 1 feet palpable abdominal. Vaginal examination revealed direct occipital anterior position and the station -1. Station -1. The best management option would be. Hands up those who think this is a good case to try for a vaginal. Hands up those who think best thing is try for a vaginal delivery. Do all of you agree with me? This baby need to come out now? Yes. It's a prolonged reservation. Baby is going to die inside. So you have to deliver them soon as possible. Hands up those who say, I would go for a vaginal delivery. I have 30 years experience in obstetric gynae. I will go for a vaginal delivery. Yes, one is giving his answer. Anyone else? Hands up. Oh, can you give me your opinion regarding vaginal delivery case? Oh, hands up those who say, I will go for a cesarean section straight away. Majority of you guys are very pathetic. You think this is not my way, or something like that. No answer. I will not do anything. Something like that. I would say that this is a case you have to go for emergency cesarean section. Reason is this. So I'm going back to that station problem. Station, okay? So these are the scale spines. At the level of scale spine, it is called station 0. 1 centimeter above it's called -1. 2 centimeters above it's called -2. Okay. Same way, Darwani, 1 centimeter below is for the +1. 2 centimeters below is for the +2. 3 centimeters below is for the +3. Something like that. Okay. So depending on the station of the presenting part, you can divide this pelvic cavity into high cavity, mid cavity, low cavity. High cavity, mid cavity, low cavity. What do you mean by high cavity? High cavity means generally means if it is above station 0, like -1, -2, it is considered to be high cavity. High cavity delivery. So above scale spine is usually considered to be high cavity. High cavity. So 0 to +1, like 0 to +1, this level, either station 0 or +1 level is considered to be mid cavity. Mid cavity. Below +1, like +2, +3, like it's called low cavity. Low cavity. So you have a high cavity presenting part that is above station 0, high cavity. Mid cavity means station 0 to +1 line. Low cavity means the low +2, +3 line. Okay. Now remember, generally high cavity deliveries we are not trying these days because of the complications. High cavity, if it is above station 0, the chance of success or the success rate of instruments are very low. And you can cause more damage rather than doing the good thing to the baby and the mother. So more damage to the baby and the mother. If you are going for an high cavity delivery, it's kind of an out-fashion thing these days. And since the chance of failure also high, chance of failure, you can't take a chance in this case. Why? Baby is about to die. So somebody can think like, okay, I try for a vacuum delivery, and if it fails, I will go to a cesarean section. You don't have time. Because within about 9-10 minutes, maximally 9-10 minutes, maximally 9 minutes, you must deliver this baby, prolong this operation. So you don't have 20-30 minutes to deliver this baby. You should be quick as possible. So there is no time for a trial and error. You do something very solid. This is a critical situation. So high cavity instrument delivery are not easy and not successful either. Better avoid. Mid cavity also not easy, but you can try. Low cavity, of course, yes. If the baby's head was +2, +3, definitely you can put a vacuum or a faucet and take the baby out. You don't need a cesarean section. But high cavity deliveries and some of the mid cavity deliveries, in this kind of a critical situation, you have to consider cesarean section. So see the answers. Mid cavity forceps delivery. This is not mid cavity, but this is high cavity, -1. False. Ask the mother to push down. You can ask the mother to push down, but this head is too high. It will take a long time for the mother to deliver by herself. Give oxygen to the mother. Yes, you can give some oxygen to the mother. That will increase the dissolved oxygen of the mother, and that will give some smaller support to the baby. But it's not a definitive thing. No harm doing it, but it doesn't cure the problem. This is a critical situation. Perform ventouse delivery. What is ventouse, Daru? Vacuum. Vacuum delivery. I told you the reason. Head is -1, high head. Okay, so the chance of success is low, high chance of failure. If it fails, then you have spent a lot of time on that vacuum. So it's too late to deliver the baby. Definitely, you will deliver another parliamentarian with a permanent brain damage. Now, this is technical, if you try for a vacuum. Category 1 cesarean section. What is category 1 cesarean section? Category 1 cesarean section means immediate cesarean section. You rush to the theater with the patient and emergency. It's kind of an emergency cesarean section. Category 1 by definition is from the time of decision to the delivery should be less than 30 minutes. Category 1. It's kind of a real emergency. Yes, for this patient, I would say better to go for a cesarean section because the head is high. It's going to be a high cavity, difficult delivery, time for a vaginal delivery. Is that clear, Naroni? Is that clear? Right? So refresh your knowledge. What is the station? -1, Daru. 1 centimeter above the scale spines, -1. Station, -1 is this. So, Darwin, so I have discussed only 5 patients today. Even though those are 5 patients, I think it will cover most of the difficult parts of labor. Okay, so please go through these patients leisurely again and don't try to by heart the answers, Darwin. Right? Just try to understand what is the underlying theory part behind. So somebody asking, I think asking about brow presentation. Yes, if you detect brow presentation, normally the chance of brow turning into fully vertex presentation is low. So normally, if you detect brow presentation, that is an indication for a cesarean delivery. Okay, so I think I have given some support to you guys to go through your labor again and try to understand the concept. Okay, so if you all have any questions, please try to contact me and I will clarify those doubts, Darwin. All right, okay, so keep in touch. If you all have any questions at any time, you are welcome. Okay, and please go through these questions again and again. Whatever the questions you have may be done by myself or may be done by somebody else, Darwin. Please go through the questions again and try to understand the concept, not the answer, but the concept. And if there is any doubt, please clarify with me. Okay, so thank you very much for coming and joining with me today. The people who were yawning and sleeping, I'm really sorry about the time, right? So we will see you all with another video soon with a live pre-session. Thank you very much.